Every good microphone stand needs a UFO piloted by a mad cow eating a banana and surfing on toast. Well, obviously that's nonsense. We just need to make a microphone. Correct. So we are going to build this beautiful yet extremely well sounding microphone. That's actually a Sontronic podcast, the same microphone I am using myself. What we will focus on in this video is actually two parts. I will talk about how I constructed everything, just as an overview, so you can see how everything was done. And the main focus of this video will be how I created the three-dimensional wire you can see here, which can look pretty daunting, but is actually quite easy. And the wire will be a very good example to also show why it is always very good to know more than one 3D modeling application. I, for example, combine Fusion 360 and Blender a lot, because in Fusion one could create all the manufacturing geometry very precisely, but then for render purpose, well, the wire mesh, it's not really that easy in Fusion, if at all. And that is now an area where Blender, for example, will excel, including the rendering. Okay, very good. The file is shared minus the wire mesh. Everything is in it. This file was also created with Blender 3.0. So if you have Blender 2.9, you cannot use it. Awesome. So let's take a quick look at how this all was modeled. Again, this is not going to be step by step, but more as an overview narrative, giving you a good example of where or in what case Blender can be a very good prototyping conceptual modeling tool. So a lot of modeling strategies from Fusion or CAD modeling is kind of like being borrowed over to here. The easiest part is this piece down here. This was just Once Upon a Time. I know that's a TV show, but Once Upon a Time, this was a cylinder and then the cap. So kind of like what was here, I did an inset face to create an offset to the inside, and then we extruded this one up. Super easy. And the cylinder was made to be 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 centimeters. Cool. Now, and then because this is 2 centimeters, fitting on it also by 2 centimeters width, I created then this metal part. If you go ahead and take a look at all these objects, you will see that they are all basically based on a simplistic mesh, aka like in Fusion, a sketch, and then all the solid modeling or the mesh modeling is done via the modifiers. So here as a quick overview, you can see this was just once a circle. And then I removed the lower part, extruded everything down, I moved this down till it matches this part, and then moved it up 2 millimeters, and then moved this over to the center. The local and global positioning here is super useful again as a nice helper. So these points are X and Y 0. So they are perfectly flush to the world center. And then we can round this part. We can mirror this, and then we can give this a material thickness. Yeah. Also here, this part, just a very simple side sketch. Then we beveled actually these outer edges. Again, this is done just via a vertex bevel, giving this a weight. So all the other elements are not rounded or beveled. And then we screw it. And there's also a Boolean that cuts this part. You will see that this object is rotated 9 degrees, and that is because there is a Boolean object here, this one. Also, to give you an idea, object center of this mesh and the object center of the knob is really the same. That is key. And then this is just a flat piece, which I extruded via the solidify modifier. So it's kind of like an extrude in a linear direction. Then an array but for the array, we give it 40 steps, and then we use the object as the center. And because these two objects share the same center point, and if I rotate this one, you see how, whoa, what's going on here? Oh, there. The circular array goes around this style. Yeah. To make sure this never shows up during render time, then return actually here the render flag off. Cool. Okay. Quickly look at this. So here, very basic sketch. Also, at selected points, there's a little bit of filleting happening. Here again, the global positioning really is was very useful to make sure all these points are at clean positions. While this product is made in England, so Britain, imperial system, with inches and feet and whatnot, then this whole design is actually very clean and matches the dimensions from being metric. So actually that was very easy with the grid then to model this. Now the system here is set to millimeters. Okay, cool. Yeah, also here now, very basic side sketch. This is open because this revolves around, and then we just revolve it. This here again is just, it's a basic rectangle. And to make this perfectly flush and fitting to this piece, I actually selected these 3 points, Shift-T, made a copy, and then I went to mesh and separate. I separated it into its own three-dimensional body, and then modeled in the missing point, connected it, and extruded everything into this. Yeah, also here, again, just a little bit of filleting, revolve, and then there is this cut. With the cut, when you go to the mic shell, there you see Boolean Cut. There's, for example, the collection for this here. Very nice. This was created by just being a just being a cube, as you can see, which I then rotated a little bit. And then these sides are, as you can see, not 90 degree, but this is the center point. So little trick. I set the 3D cursor to there, Shift S, cursor to world origin. Then I selected these side edges and then around the center point rotated it. And this way, as you can see, you rotate this edge along the circular path, resulting into perpendicular cuts into this outer circular shell. Yeah. Also, you see there some edges are blue because they got an edge bevel value added. And then we just bevel it, we mirror it, X and Y. So 2 directions. And then to move this up, we then gave this a vertical array command. Yeah. That's then how this got cut. And I rounded the edges of that cube, so when it cuts its base out of this shell, I get rounded cut corners. So I would not cut out a rectangular piece and then try to round the edges. I mean, I could, it's just not very productive. Here, very easy, again, from the side, a simple geometry that follows the same layout. Here, actually, this I can delete because this is in the inside. Some edges got filleted. On the cap, also here, very interesting how simplistic everything is. It started right here, everything with a circle, and then I removed half of the circle, moved it to there, and then these endpoints I selected, pressed F. No, actually not F. I extruded them to the central point, made sure that, again, they are along the x-axis at 0. Filled them, and then I gave everything a fill face. Yeah, then mirror this over. So it's just one piece. And then we thicken it. They're exactly the same way, same process. I only moved actually, I drew myself somewhere here a layout. Yeah, there's a layout. So there's the ring, there is the hexagon, and the line was a helper to make sure where these rings should be. And then they each have a mirror command. You can see this one here along this one because that's centered. Yeah, there are some more holes cut in. There are actually here some. This is actually interesting. So this started as a cylinder, where then the end I extruded one more time and scaled it out, and then around the center point I made I set the 3D cursor to there, made a copy, rotated around 3D cursor 2 copies 120 degrees. And then these ends here, I made a copy of this object and then modeled in my screw dummies. Just very simplistic geometry. This is not really now a real screw, but in terms of communication, we can then talk about how pieces might be fastened or put together. So this actually this was a very good exercise in developing a quick concept model of this microphone using a more interactive modeling technique, so that not everything is hand modeled, just the basic proportions like the sketch is, and all the rest of the features is just done via modeling modifiers, aka modeling features in Fusion. Okay. So how do we model actually now this mesh? Let me turn this on and turn this off. Go to top view, and there we have my template. This is actually what I measured is a 4 millimeter rectangular path. This piece you see here right now is a little bit bigger, but kind of like this is a 4 millimeter part. And I counted how many of these do I have along a path. So I did a little bit of measurement or measuring, and then this way matched my result really with the existing product pretty well. That's really crucial. So what do we have here more? So I have various rectangles or rectangular shapes. They describe the direction of my pieces I need. And if I go into a 3-dimensional view, there above floating, you see kind of like these triangles. There's, for example, one triangle on top, one triangle going down. Now when the center one goes up, then the left and right go down. And the opposite, if the center one goes down, the left and right go up. Okay, so how did I know model is super difficult? Shift S, cursor to the world origin, and then we zoom in, Shift A, plane, and this should be a 4x4 millimeter piece. Good. Okay, then in edit mode tab, right click, subdivide, very good. Then we can frame the selection. Now the next step is important. Now we define actually how big is this piece going to be. So for example, I moved this one up by 0. Wait, I'm in millimeter. So when I type in 1, it's 1 millimeter. Okay, good. So this is important to maybe preset to have the length set to millimeters. Good. Now I have actually this line that goes up. I can press Shift D, then I make a copy and press Escape so we don't move it. Keep it right where it is. And then we want this to get into its own object. So we go to Mesh Separate Selection. There now I have a new plane. Let's leave Edit mode. Then we select this piece we just created, Edit mode. Press A, Shift D to make a copy, R to rotate, Z only along the Z axis, and 90 for 90 degrees. Very good. And then RX and 180. So we rotate this one 180 around the X axis. And there you see where it is. Okay, very good. Yeah, cool. Now, this actually goes 1 millimeter down. This goes 1 millimeter, or is actually at the ground. So what we'll do now is we will press GZ and 0.5. So half a millimeter that goes up, and here this GZ minus 0.5, half a millimeter down. Okay. So the main reason is when this, for example, will be patterned, you see that then these points are equal the height point here. No, that's why. Okay. Also, everything is now nicely centered around the central point. Good. So we have actually all our building blocks. So if I will go into object mode, hide this, and for the moment, let's go into pattern array there, and let's make another pattern, and this time here along y-axis. There, cool. Okay, so now this goes up and down, but we notice something here in the center is missing. Well, we don't really have these pieces yet there. So you and you, this is the center piece. They actually go to here and to there. I will, so it's easier to see, turn this off. So Shift D, RZ and 90. Let's turn on point snapping. And then I move this one to there, hold Control and snap it to there. Shift D and Y and Control there. Cool. Okay. So let's see when I turn this on. There you see now my design actually gets richer. I have more crisscross lines. So that is finished. Now this we need to. So Shift D, RZ and 90. Then I move this one to there, hold Control, Shift D, X, hold Control there. Cool. Okay, so this is all actually pretty good. Yeah. Technically speaking, so when we make a pattern, these elements here, I don't need, because when I make this as a pattern to the other side, you see then this becomes the piece that's missing here. So here it's empty. This emptiness is here and is being replaced by this. And the same there. We can, however, keep this geometry as is and simply say, hey, merge by 0.1 millimeters. So I am actually where they are duplicates. I fuse them together. Okay. Yeah. Very nice. So, now you see then this way, it's super easy to create the pattern. Then let's actually give this a subdivision surface modifier. That actually makes it nice and smooth, as you see. There. Now this looks really more like woven. And now the next step is we have to go into edit mode. We need to add a skin modifier. There's skin modifier. That should be, maybe here is the radius. This is in 0.01. 0.001. Oh, 0.0001. Okay. And then mark root with everything selected there. Very good. Cool. Okay. This is actually kind of like the radius, the thickness. And this looks pretty nice. And then we can add one more subdivision afterwards. to make this now nice and round. And maybe the thickness here is too thin. So what about 0.2? Okay. I'm click and dragging down two fields, and then I can modify them at the same time, by the way. The skin modifier, turn on shade smooth, and there we are. Okay, so last thing, simple deform. Okay, we want it to bend along the Y or Z. We want a Z axis, but you see this is bending incorrectly. So I am actually horizontally, or my stuff is horizontal. Shift S, cursor to the world origin. That's where we were modeling. Edit mode A. And I rotate this RX minus 90. So they go up. Very good. And then we get actually this kind of really cool structure. Wow, it's a nice lattice. Well, that's because our array modifiers, they have the wrong directions. So let's see what we can do here. Let me turn this off first. So you kind of are okay, but then it's not Y, you are Z. There. Okay. Because we rotated in mesh mode the object. And then subdivide, doom, doom, doom. There we are. And then we can bend this 360 degrees and then fold it back. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Okay. And as a next step, all we need to do now is make sure that we have a band that is big enough. So you can see where this is. And I will move this along this axis, bring this one up. I will turn off the mesh thing here. I will set this to bounding box. Very good. And I will try to position it so it is maybe barely touching it. Thanks to the grid system, I can clean this up. 35 millimeters. Let's actually go and take a look. Yep, this is actually all pretty good. So to give this now more pieces, let's turn this all off here for the moment. First, we want this to be higher. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Here, definitely we need more. So it needs to be a big piece in which we are going to fold over. So this array modifier we will work on a little bit. Then all these we can turn back on. And well, this should be 360. Very good. And going to a top view now we can really see. So with a count of 30, this is how much we have. With a count of 40, takes a moment, you see this actually gets bigger. What about 45? Okay, very good. Now from this position, you see the band will be folded over, and we simply give it enough till, oh, beautiful, it fits in. Yeah, we might have to move this along the y-axis a little bit to make it nice and even, but this is pretty good. Now, we have the problem of these two ends meeting here. So how do we fix this? Well, simple trick. Cursor to, so we turn on the 3D cursor, Shift S, cursor to world origin, and then I want to rotate this over to there. So rotate R, Z, and then I have to move this till, yeah, it's behind this part there. Problem solved. What we don't see, we do not know and do not care about. Cool. Okay. You see, that was actually pretty easy. Let's do the top one. Shift D to make a copy, and we move this to here. Then the deform we turn off. The subdivide. Yeah, let's keep it like this for the moment. Very good. Also here, all the rotations we set to 0. This whole object, we will rotate down R90 and enter. Very good. So, and the next step is actually really important. You see the object center is right there. And why is this important? I will turn these off for the moment. So let's make an array, just 2. Okay, very good. No? Very nice. Oh, by the way, good, this happened. You see, we need to move this up because the array modifier makes an array of the whole object. Here, before the skin modifier, this has no volumes. Now this has a volume. That's not what we want. So here, zoom, very good. And when I do a mirror to the other side, oh, you see what happens here. Plus, this rectangular piece is mirrored over itself. That is not ideal. So, edit mode, we can pick any type of a corner. Here I will select these two, Shift S, cursor to the selected. So I find a space in 3D that's right in between. That's also on this rectangular plane. And then in object mode, right click, I say cursor to origin. Very good. Point 1 there. But now you will see how this mirrors over to the other side. Now, this skin command we actually move down, and also this we move down. So there. Now I can increase the count, and you see how this gets left and right wider. And again, because this is the center point, I can also add a mirror command, probably along the y-axis. Yeah, hold on. So this has to go the other direction. So here, add mirror y. So why is this not working? This object is rotated. So I just realized that. Apply rotation. Yeah, okay, we can do this with one command. Pretty cool. There. But when I have an array of 6 one direction, let's add another array, and I drag this one up along the y direction too. There. Fop. See? Easy peasy. So we set this to 0. And then we can make this nice and big. Very good. Then we move this one up. Kind of like under it. There we are. Let's R45 rotate it. This is very good. Then this whole result that we can subdivide, in this whole result we can give the skin command. So the sequence is really important. You saw how we built a very simplistic pattern, and then we started to add all the details. Okay, Shift S, cursor to the selected, Shift A, make a cylinder, Tab S, and then we scale this one down till it's in the kind of like in the inside. Yeah, plus minus there, S and Z, very good. And then you will get a Boolean command, intersect this thing here. Takes a moment based on how many subdivisions we have here. In my case, it takes a moment. So a subdivision of 1 for this part will be faster. Still takes a moment. There we are. And you want to give these names good names. For example, we can call this grid top Boolean. and we never want this to render. And oh, hold on, where's my other stuff? Here. Okay. Ah, okay. So we need to figure out what's going on here. You see there is it does a calculation, but then the thing is gone. Maybe let's turn this off here for the moment. Okay, so good. Yeah. What could be a... Oh, I see. Yeah, this makes sense. There you see. So what problem do we have? There are interesting disconnects here. When I move this one up, can we figure this out? No, yeah, this obviously doesn't really make sense. Mirroring there. So I have the feeling we need... Oh yeah, that's why we didn't merge the ends. You see, all these pieces are not merged. So 0.1 and here 0.1. So these small rectangular elements, which we pattern, we want them to be merged. So it really becomes one line. And then when we cut it, yeah, there it is. Okay, very good. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and then this mesh, here we can turn on the subdivision. I leave this one off, so it runs faster, mesh top. And then this we can call mesh side, and then put this into a new collection called mesh, etc. Very good. The only thing then left, we want to see also not what is inside this thing. So I made a new cylinder. Then the cylinder rescaled, so it just sits inside. Bring this down, S and Z, scale it up. So we can use this as, yeah, kind of like a dummy. Very good. Only on the top, there we want to bring this one kind of like under it. There it is, below this. Very good. Okay, yeah, that's it. So 2 methods, or 1 method in 2 variations, how to create a mesh that is bent over a cylinder and a mesh that is plain but nicely rotated, and it looks like it's growing right from the center. Beautiful.